Hello everyone and welcome to my channel Decipher Lab. Let us begin with the 4th chapter of the book Wisdom from the Ramayana written by Chaitanya Charan. Dasharatha Kaikeyi, doomed by destiny or desire? What do we do when a promise we have given comes back to strangle us? What do we do when a loved one whom we have implicitly trusted acts like our worst enemy? What do we do when, at the very moment our dearest dreams are meant to come true, they turn into nightmares? The Ramayana narrates how these questions confronted Dasharatha, the reigning monarch of Ayodhya, when his plans for succession were disastrously derailed. Kaikeyi was a heroic wife worthy of a great king. She had saved her husband's life. Once, when the king was engaged in a deadly war with demonic forces, his charioteer was slain and he himself was knocked unconscious. With the fearless presence of mind, Kaikeyi grabbed the reins and steered his chariot to safety. Feeling astounded and indebted, he gave her two boons, promising that he would provide whatever she desired. Being incited by Manthara, Kaikeyi decided to use those boons to fulfill her designs. When Dasharatha approached her that night, she placed herself in a disheveled condition in the sulking chamber. Concerned at what was afflicting his favorite wife, the king got carried away by his desire to pacify her. Not knowing what Kaikeyi was going to ask, and being elated at the upcoming elevation of his dear son, Rama, he unwittingly promised to fulfill her request and promised thrice in the name of Rama. Little did he know that he was like an ignorant animal entering a fatal trap. Kaikeyi asked that Rama be banished to the forest for 14 years and in his place, Bharata be installed as the prince regent. On hearing Kaikeyi's demands, he was stunned, shocked and shattered. Not even in his wildest had he thought that she would ask for something like this. Desperately, he begged her to relent, even falling at her feet. But Kaikeyi's heart had turned to stone. The next morning, she summoned Rama and informed him that the king had ordered that he be banished. Had Dasharatha erred in making a blanket promise? Possibly, but not necessarily. He had no reason to suspect Kaikeyi. She had treated Rama like her own son and had shown no resentment at his being groomed as the heir apparent. When she made her demands, the moral monarch was torn between two duties: the duty of honoring his word to his wife and the duty of giving his son his due legacy. On hearing Kaikeyi's words, Rama took the news stoically and gracefully agreed to obey his father's command. Actually, Dasharatha never spoke that Rama be exiled. It was Kaikeyi who spoke those unconscionable, unbearable words on the king's behalf. And the mortified king watched on mutely, crying and swooning to see the horror unfolding before his eyes. Rama entrusted his affairs to others, readied himself for departing to the forest, and came to his father, "O venerable father, to honor your word, I am now ready to leave for the forest. Please give me your blessings." Seeing him, Dasharatha became anxious and said, "O Rama, please don't go to the forest." Desperately straining to think of some way to stop the impending exile, he told Rama, "I am an unworthy king. Please stage a coup, overthrow and imprison me, and take the throne. Then you won't have to go to the forest." Of course, Rama declined, politely yet categorically, "O father, may you rule for many more years. After returning from the forest, I look forward to resuming my service to you." Offering his respects to his father, he turned and departed. Dasharatha watched on, helpless. We may wonder, was a king's sense of honor so important as to be worth the exile of one's own son? Yes, the sense of honor ensured that monarchs wouldn't abuse the considerable power at their command. Having it bred into them since childhood that a person's worth was only as much as the worth of their word, they were thus trained to use power for honorable purposes. Though Dasharatha had planned to honorably hand the kingdom's reins to Rama, he was thwarted because of his word of honor to his wife. After Rama's departure, Dasharatha could do nothing except think of Rama and call out his name in dejection. When his first wife, Kaushalya, tried to console him, he told her a distressing incident from his past. Long ago, he had accidentally killed a young man whom he had mistaken to be an animal drinking water in a desert. Dasharatha had been out hunting, which was a means by which the kings kept the population of animals, especially predators, under control. Also, through hunting, the kings practiced the skill of archery and desensitized themselves to the sight of blood and gore. Such desensitization helped them face the brutality of war unflinchingly. As the martial guardians of society, they had to be trained to fight when necessary for protecting the law-abiders from the lawbreakers. During this hunting expedition, Dasharatha had been practicing the skill of shooting targets that could only be heard, not seen. Rulers needed this skill to fight at night with devious enemies who didn't respect the martial code that wars be fought only during the day, or who attacked mystically using invisible weapons. Concealed in a thicket near a river, Dasharatha lay in wait for animals that would come to drink water. On hearing the sound of water being lapped up, he shot an arrow in that direction with lightning speed and heard the sound of the arrow thudding into a target. His satisfaction turned into horror, however, when he heard a human scream. He rushed to the riverside and found a hermit boy lying there. Wincing in pain and realizing that he was about to die, the boy decided that he had no time to waste in blaming his aggressor. Seeing the remorse on the face of the king, he said, "O king, I had come here to fetch water for my blind parents. They have no one other than me to take care of them. Please take some water for them." Speaking these words, right before Dasharatha's appalled eyes, the boy left his body. His heart heavy with mountainous remorse, Dasharatha carried the body and the water to Shravan's parents. When he approached them, they sensed by the sound of his movements that he was not their son. When they asked about his identity, the king tearfully told them what had happened. On hearing that their son was no more, the aged couple was aghast. Shravan's father somehow pulled himself together and performed his son's last rites, with due assistance from remorseful Dasharatha. Overcome by grief, Shravan's parents couldn't live much longer after their son's death. Before dying, Shravan's father said to Dasharatha, "Just as I am dying in the agony of separation from my son, you too will one day die in the from your son agony of separation." Despite being cursed, Dasharatha felt no anger towards the dying father. He knew that he had erred grievously in inadvertently killing a citizen whom he was duty-bound to protect. As that incident had happened many years ago, it had slipped out of Dasharatha's mind. But after Rama's banishment, when Dasharatha was trying to make sense of things, the curse returned to his mind. At one level, that recollection filled him with illumination, helping him see a pattern amidst the adversities that had just befallen him. At another level, the recollection filled him with resignation, as he realized that destiny was taking its due course, a course that would lead to his death. This Ramayana narrative, along with the flashback, raises several critical questions about the course of human affairs. Are certain things destined to happen? Are we just puppets in the hands of destiny that makes us dance as per its will? The Ramayana may seem to support this idea. After he was exiled, Rama invoked destiny repeatedly while pacifying others. When Lakshmana railed against the unfairness of Dasharatha's order, Rama calmed him by saying that it was all the will of destiny. Later, when Bharatha came to meet him in the forest, Rama told Bharatha to bear no animosity towards Kaikeyi, for she had simply acted as destiny had willed. Reiterating this line of reasoning, the Ramayana states that the mind of Manthara, and thereby of Kaikeyi, was influenced by the gods who wanted Rama to leave Ayodhya and go to the forest to confront the cannibalistic demons there. Through the ensuing encounter, he would rid the world of demonic forces. And indeed, that's how things turned out. Why did the gods want Rama to leave Ayodhya? To fulfill his mission as a descent of the divine. Rama, being supreme, is the lord of destiny to destiny, acts according to his will. That means Rama was exiled by his own will. However, the Ramayana doesn't stress Rama's divinity, it focuses on his being the ideal human being. And Rama's actions are instructive in understanding how to respond to destiny. Despite repeatedly referring to destiny, neither Rama nor the other characters in the epic act as if they are puppets, pulled helplessly into doing particular things. When faced with perplexities, They reason conscientiously to determine their dharma, the right course of action for them. They draw insights from scripture and tradition, and use their intelligence for applying those insights to their particular situations. Thus, the characters simultaneously acknowledge destiny and deliberate dharma. Destiny connotes forces beyond our control, and dharma connotes actions that we are meant to choose, implying that those choices are in our control. How can considerations of destiny and duty of factors beyond our control and factors in our control be reconciled? By seeing destiny and duty as complementary, not contradictory, as Rama did. In the third chapter of this book, we discussed how Rama's placid acceptance of his exile was not fatalistic, but pragmatic. Nowadays, we often rebel against any notion of predestination, any idea of resignation to any power higher than human. But just as in Rama's case, Dasharatha's surrender to his destiny is not fatalistic either. He tried his best to avert the calamity. Only when nothing worked did he share the story of his being cursed to explain that the adversity had been preordained. The Ramayana gives no indication that any fatalistic sense of predestination decreased his efforts to change Kaikeyi's mind. The thrust of the Ramayana's discussions is that we not see the events happening in our life as isolated incidents. They are manifestations of a complex chain of factors, a chain into which we implicated ourselves by our past actions. Such a philosophically informed vision helps us respond to reversals intelligently, not impulsively, so that we can act to mitigate the situation, not aggravate it. Such level-headed pragmatism in the face of destiny is the most empowering option in a disempowering situation. And it becomes even more empowering when coupled with the spiritual practice of Bhakti Yoga. This is evident in Dasharatha's actions. Though deeply afflicted by separation from Rama, and though confronted with the inevitability of his own imminent demise, Dasharatha didn't become resentful or hateful towards hostile destiny. He saw the calamity as a reaction to his own past action. Of course, in his particular case, that culpable action had been perpetrated in that very life and he could recollect it. In most cases, we may not be able to recollect the relevant past action, for it may have been done in some previous life. Nonetheless, the key point is that destiny is not arbitrary or inimical, it is orderly and reactional. It gives us reactions to our own past actions. Accepting the inviolable will of destiny, Dasharatha absorbed himself in the remembrance of Rama. The Ramayana embodies a dynamic, ecstatic tension in Dasharatha's mind over Rama's identity. Is Rama human or divine? The king is told repeatedly by sages that his son is the supreme lord descended to this world, and hearing about his son's divinity delights him. Still, that knowledge never became the defining basis of his relationship with Rama. Out of his paternal affection, he saw Rama as his own son, to be protected and provided for by him. Srimad Bhagavatam, a preeminent bhakti text, declares that absorption in the Lord is always auspicious. If such absorption is continued till the moment of death, it can grant liberation, transporting one to the Lord's eternal abode. Dasharatha became absorbed in Rama, in a mood of parental affection and intense separation. Thus absorbed, he left his mortal frame and attained reunion with Rama in his supreme abode. The destiny that had brought him such agony led him to liberation. And a similar auspicious result happened for the world at large. Rama freed it from the scourge of demonic forces. Intriguingly, destiny's ways turned out to be auspicious for the demons too. Not all of them were innately, incorrigibly evil. They were just led by a fiendish pack of leaders headed by the lecherous Ravana. Rama eliminated those rogue leaders and entrusted the demons' leadership to the virtuous Vibhishana, who brought auspiciousness into the demons' lives. If we to respond to adverse destiny by sticking to our dharma and absorbing ourselves in our Lord, destiny's ultimate will eventually become manifest. So this was the entire review of chapter number 4. I hope you have a lot to take away from this review. If you really liked my efforts, then help me reach more subscribers. I would really appreciate your valuable comments. Please hit the like button and do not forget to share. Thank you and stay tuned for the next chapter's review.